Hello, I'm Marcus T. Anthony. Welcome to Diary of a 21st Century Mystic. And as you can see from my slight squinting here, we're outside. We're actually in the beautiful Youre National Park, which is just outside of Melbourne. It's about an hour and it's not far from where I live. If you look up there on the hills behind me, on the horizon, you can see a few houses. It's kind of the outer suburbs of Greensborough where I live. And right down behind me as well, you can see there's actually a quarry. And this quarry is where I'm going to walk in a moment. As I do this episode or latest entry of Diary of a 21st Century Mystic. It should take me about 10 minutes to get down there. And while we're walking down there, I will tell you a few things. Just before we leave, let's have a quick look around. Sorry about that. Excuse my hand. Very nice place. Lots of nature around here. Okay, so let's get a move along here. Here's where we're going to walk to start with, just down the hill. There's a dirt path here. Lots of nature here, lots of trees, lots of beautiful birds, kangaroos. We might even see a kangaroo if we're very lucky. Usually though they come out at night time, and right now it's midday, so we probably won't see any kangaroos at this time. So what I'm going to talk about in this episode of Diary of a 21st Century Mystic, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my latest projects, which is writing a book called The Deepening the Art of Unconditional Love, and I'm going to talk a little bit about a sustainability program which I've applied for, and I'm going to talk about a position I've taken at a university. Excuse the flies. This is Australia. It's a part-time position, so it's not actually a full-time job, but it's something that's very exciting for me. I'll talk a bit about that. And I want to talk also a bit about the difficulties in writing and how the loneliness of writers or anybody for that matter can affect your energy field. This is something that's very important. And just in line with what I've been writing, I'm going to talk a bit about unconditional love. Very briefly though, nothing too serious. So, here we go, walking down here. I love these old gum trees we have in Australia. I like to think of the gum trees as my friend, or my friends. It can be particularly good for writers who are spending a lot of time alone. Now, writing can be extremely demanding. I've been writing this book, The Deepening the Art of Unconditional Love. It's, how can I put it? When you're a writer, you basically got to apply the one secret of writing, which is bum glue. Bum glue, that means putting your bum on a seat for long periods of time. For anybody who's ever wanted to write, I can tell you that is the absolute minimum requirement. But writing requires a very specific cognitive process. It requires you to go into your head to quite a degree, and it becomes slightly disembodying. At least this is what I find as a writer, and as a mystic, as a person who's very in touch with his body. So you kind of go out of your body a bit, and it can create a kind of a trauma within yourself. If you spend too long sitting at a computer, I always write on a computer myself. I know some people prefer, even these days, to write with a pen. But even if you're writing with a pen, it still requires that kind of dissociation process. And it's quite lonely. It's lonely being a writer. You have to really discipline yourself. And since I was going to talk a little bit about loneliness and how it affects the energy field, I might as well just mention that now, and that's one of the reasons why I come I come here to this yellow gum national park. When you experience loneliness, or your needs for friendship or human companionship are not met fully, what happens is that, this is my experience anyway, and it seems to be pretty universal from what I can gather, is part of your energy starts to go out, like the little boy or little girl inside of you starts to go out and attach itself to other people, and then they're usually dependency figures from childhood. So your energy becomes entangled with other people. So in my case, my energy goes out. It tends to attach itself to or entangle with my parents, and brothers and sisters, childhood friends. And when your energy becomes entangled with people, it creates it really drags on your energy. So it causes fatigue. And if you're not careful with that kind of thing, it can lead to depression. And a lot of people who are depressed, especially older people, people who spend a lot of time alone, one of the reasons they become depressed is because their energy becomes extremely entangled with other people, and they just become extremely heavy. And there's a creek down here, or a river. I'm not sure what the name of that creek is. It's been raining a bit around here, as you can see. That's why it's kind of muddy. And there's a nice blue sky of Australia, something I didn't see too much of in Asia. Okay, sorry about that digression. So if your energy becomes entangled, then you start to feel heavy. And the other factor is, of course, that you have to process your emotion. You have to acknowledge your emotionality. If you suppress emotions, then it also contributes to depression. This is something I've seen very, very clearly from my own meditative experience. So you need to be able to honour all the feelings that are in your body, or in your mind, if you care to call it that, because the mind and body are very, very closely related. In fact, they're really the one thing. You can't really have a mind without a body. Although I won't go into that. It's a slightly complicated topic, as anybody who understands philosophy knows. So we have to be able to express our emotionality. That's one of the reasons why I come out to this place, because I drive out here in my car, which you haven't seen because I've left it at the top of the hill. And if I need to express anything extremely strongly, such as strong sadness or anger or anything like that, I just drive out here and I just let that speak. So basically I'm letting the inner child speak. And that's what I just did a few moments ago before I came here, when I was in the car. And as you can see right now, I'm quite fine. I feel happy, I feel light. But when I woke up this morning, I was extremely heavy. I felt extremely heavy. So I just let that voice speak. And it's basically about, for me, this time it's about loneliness and abandonment. But with unconditional love for yourself, you don't hide these parts of yourself. You don't pretend they're not there. You don't try to change them or get rid of them. Just allow them a voice, and then you'll find that they just flow through you. They don't become stuck, and you don't become stuck. Here we are, almost down to the Quarry. I'm not quite sure what they used to mine here, but obviously there's some kind of mining. Believe it or not, last time I came down here, I scrambled up this little cliff face here. Actually, it wasn't that part. It was actually over here. Let's go and have a look. Yeah, that was it, just there. I scrambled up there. And probably at 46 years of age, that's not really a great thing. What I did though is when I was down there at the bottom, I just put my energy into the event that I was about to engage in. This is what I do when I make a decision, because I knew it was slightly dangerous clambering up this cliff. I put my energy into the next few moments, and I felt whether there was any danger, whether there was an event that was about to unfold which could be calamitous or dangerous, as I say, and I felt nothing. I didn't feel there was any problem, so then I just decided to clamber up the cliff. And I made it, no problem. So actually there's a part of our minds that can sense what's about to happen. And this is where the intuitive mind, or what I call integrated intelligence, comes into play. Okay, so that's enough about loneliness and emotionality. The book itself, The Art of Unconditional Love, or The Deepening, The Art of Unconditional Love, is coming along quite well. I've written about 70,000 words in the past few weeks, so that's going very well. I've invited Anita Moorjani, the author of Dying to Be Me, to write the foreword to this book. I only asked her yesterday by email, so I don't know whether she'll agree or not. But I've got a good feeling about that, and I hope she does, because she's got quite a good name and reputation and connections. So if she does agree to do that, that would be very helpful for me, of course. And maybe I'll be able to help Anita out in some other ways in the future. I met Anita in Hong Kong about 6 months ago. No, about 8 months ago, actually. So the book's coming along quite well. I feel quite happy about it. It just requires that bit of discipline. And I'll just say one thing about unconditional love. Well, there's one more thing about unconditional love, is that to me it's just about allowing yourself to be who you are, to be who you already are. You don't need to become anything. You can even love flies. You don't need to become anything or be anybody else other than who you already are. And you're already a magnificent being. You're already completely worthy of love. You don't need to be forgiven by God or by anybody else. The only person that withholds unconditional love from yourself is you. And it's a very subtle thing. There's so many ways in which we withhold love from ourselves. Not forgiving ourselves for things from the past. Or this unconscious programming from early childhood that I'm not good enough, I'm a bad person, I've got to please mother and father, I've got to please brother and sister or friends before I can be worthy of being accepted or loved. In fact, you don't need anybody to approve of you to feel completely loved. That's a complete mistake. But it's something that all of us do. That's what we're conditioned to do as we grow up. And here's I had a meditation down here yesterday when I came here, actually just over that way. That's the same river we saw before, a creek. It's the kind of place that kangaroos hang around, actually, although they generally prefer flatter ground. So that's unconditional love, and when my book comes out, I hope you'll read it, of course, and I'm sure you'll be able to learn quite a bit about, at least what I've come to understand about unconditional love. Because when I was a child, I began my life with extremely low self-esteem. In fact, I believe very strongly that nobody could ever love me. And this came from my childhood experience and also past lives. Very nice. I love these gum trees. These ghost gums. You can hear that kind of grinding noise you just heard was. I'm not sure whether it's a tree or. I think it's the tree, maybe a bird. But sometimes branches do fall off these trees and kill people. In the old days of Australia, when what they called swagmen or homeless people, itinerant workers, when they travelled around, they made sure they didn't sleep under gum trees because the branches would fall down and, well, kill them. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about very briefly is I've taken a position at Swinburne University here in Melbourne, and I'm teaching critical thinking and also foresight or future studies methods. And I'll just be doing 2 days at the end of this month, and so I'm quite excited about that. So here I am, a mystic, and I'm going to be teaching some foresight students about critical thinking. I'm not sure whether I'm going to tell them whether I'm a mystic or not, because they might get a bit upset that a mystic is trying to teach them about critical thinking. But the point, of course, is that there's absolutely nothing incompatible between inner work and mysticism and critical thinking. You know, it's just a matter of balancing and knowing which part of the mind to use at the right time. So here we are down at the quarry. We'll just make a little journey down to that point down there, and then we'll finish up. Because I'm sure you're getting tired of listening to hearing me talk. Already 15 minutes up. Anyway, you can fast forward through all the parts you don't like, which is probably most of it. Okay, and so I'm teaching critical thinking at Swinburne and foresight methods. Oops, something was down there. Not quite sure what it was. Probably a duck. Okay. And another thing I've done is I've applied for a position for a leadership program. It's called the organisation is called the Centre for Sustainable Leadership, and each year they take 50 people and train them in sustainable leadership. It's quite competitive. It's quite expensive as well. If I get in, I have to pay about 3,800 Australian dollars, which is not cheap. And my income sources are not that great at the moment. I applied for this program because it really does mirror very much what I do in my own work. I'm not just a mystic or a person who does an inner journey. I'm interested in leadership and future studies and the futures of humanity. For some reason I've got I would say a slightly negative feeling about this, so I've got a feeling I may not be accepted into the program. I don't know why, because logically I should be a pretty good fit, but we'll see what happens. And so we're almost here at the end. You can see the walls here where they've I guess mined this years ago, whatever they mined here. You're not supposed to swim in here. According to the signs, it says there's submerged objects. But I think in the nanny state people get a bit too worked up about just about everything. When we were kids, we used to swim in places like this, up in New South Wales. No problems. My brother, my younger brother, swam across the river, the huge Manning River in Taree, when he was 7 years old. He's still with us. There you go. Thank you, the nanny state. No bicycle riding, no camping, no fires, no cats and dogs. Basically no fun. Okay, so we've arrived at our destination. Excuse me. The quarry, and there's some ducks out there. It's probably too small on your screen, but ducks love water. And just before I sign off for today, well, that's where I went up a couple of days ago when I came here. That rock face there. The one, it's quite a lot of what would you call that stuff? Loose rock. It's very muddy. It's shale. Slightly dangerous, but you know, I made the right decision. I got up there. I didn't die. What you just heard then was a bit of bark falling off the tree. Okay, so that's all for today for Diary of a 21st Century Mystic, and we'll see what happens in the future. And I hope that you can join me. And with a bit of luck, there'll be some good news about my book and other things as well. And I hope wherever you are and whatever you're doing, that you feel good about yourself and that you're loving yourself unconditionally. See you next time.